Hey, I'm excited to be here this morning. I'm here with Paul Gregutt, the author of Washington Wines and Wineries, the ultimate guide, the essential guide, and it really truly is. Paul is the not only author of a book, but writes for the Seattle Times, writes for the Spokesman Review occasionally, and you also write for a small magazine called Wine Enthusiast that a lot of people will be really familiar with, and you're the Northwest editor there. Appreciate you being with me, Paul.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you for guiding me through the rigors of Skype.
Tell us a little bit more about your experience with Washington wine and why you're so enthusiastic about it.
Well, I was lucky enough to be living in Washington for most of my life, and so my introduction to wine in general happened here. I didn't grow up in a wine-drinking household. And so I really had to explore wine on my own after I moved out and moved to Seattle back in the 70s. And I started, like a lot of people start, just being interested in wine as a subject.
Right.
And the more I tasted and learned and went to wine shops and began to assemble some knowledge about it, the more I thought, wow, they're actually making wine in Washington State. Which was remarkable at the time because there were only maybe a dozen wineries, and they were all brand new, and so it was instantly had some pizzazz to the fact that it was here. And so that was really what triggered my interest in Washington wine, because it connected so directly to my interest in wine.
Cool. And through all of that, I mean, you were able to accumulate a vast amount of tasting experience, tasting knowledge, and you put that together in the form of a book. What was the precipice for having a brand new edition, just a short time frame?
Yeah, this is a great question because I want people to understand that this is not just a little revision. I didn't just go in and update some tasting notes. The only reason that I proposed the book to my publisher, and the only reason they said, yes, we'll go ahead and do it, another one so quickly, is that I said, this is going to be essentially a new book. We'll keep a lot of the structure of the old book, but the material is almost entirely new. And that is a reflection of the growth of the industry. As you've seen, in the first edition of the book, I was talking about there are 450 wineries in the state. Now there are close to 700. That's in 3 years. So I've doubled the number of winery entries. I've doubled the number of vineyard entries. I've dramatically expanded most of the other chapters. And I've dumped the chapters that there was no reason to keep or repeat because they're in the first book.
Right, right. So as you were going through and preparing, you're doubling all of these entries and everything, obviously tasting a lot of new wineries, wines. What were some of the things that you were, what were you noticing as you prepared the new version?
I really truly sense an overall elevation in quality across the board, and I attribute that to the educational programs that are available in this state now, certainly at the college in Walla Walla, but also here in South Seattle, and also in Pullman. A lot of very good education that has been kicking out knowledgeable people. Right. So that's part of it. The aging of the vineyards. The vineyards are getting to a point now where they have enough age on a significant number of them to really be producing better quality grapes. And that's not just a matter of age, that's also vineyard management and what has been learned in the vineyard, and especially clonal trials and using GPS to reorient rows, and a lot of technology that is brought to bear to bury moisture sensors and really regulate the irrigation. So it goes on and on and on.
What do you think is working well right now in Washington wine? You could talk grape, or you already alluded to some of the technology aspects. You could hit on that a little bit.
I think the message is getting out about the quality and also the QPR of Washington wine. It's getting out to people around the country and even around the world. I was just reading a column from the editor of a magazine that I write for, Vineyard and Winery Management, and she is based in California. And she was writing about a week she spent in London visiting wine shops, and how there was virtually no California wine on the shelves except some real cheap and cheerful, $6 brands. Right. But there was quite a lot of Northwest wine.
Oh, wow. Good.
And she was rather startled. But I thought, yes,
that's right.
Good for the Northwest, and especially I think the efforts of the Washington Wine Commission in getting out to specifically London, but also over to Asia, some of the Asian markets. And honestly, the impact of social media, such as this blog of yours, and a few of the other key people that are focused on Washington wines, to have a global reach that no print publication can duplicate.
That's an interesting observation. You end with that. Let's talk about maybe a challenge that you see in the marketplace for Washington wine.
Well, there are a lot of challenges.
But we only have time for one, so narrow it down.
Okay. Well, not two. If you're a grape grower, you better have contracts, because if you don't have contracts, you're really in a vulnerable position. If you're a winemaker, hopefully you haven't overreached and you're not carrying a lot of debt, because everybody is having to reduce prices everywhere in the world. It's highly competitive, and it's going to stay that way. It's returning to more of a normal situation. So this explosion in the cost of wines it's a very recent and short-lived phenomenon, and I don't think it's going to come back. Right. People are going to have businesses that are competitive at lower prices. That's a big challenge.
Because you've got an awesome blog that I read whenever you post something new, and you're always insightful and sometimes a little, humorous and snarky and all these things that make for great reading. What are your thoughts on the future of wine writing and blogging? You mentioned already with the global reach, but.
Well, I really do admire the most dedicated bloggers who are also good writers and put in the time and the effort to do it virtually for free. And my own blog there's no advertising on there, and I have no expectation of carrying advertising. How is that going to be sustainable? I don't think anybody has figured that out. And that's the big question. And we're all kind of looking around. Someone may figure it out at some point in time, but at the moment, so I think the future is that there will be good wine writing, and it will be more and more and more in the online universe. But how is that sustainable as an occupation, if it ever was? I don't know.
Very true. Hey, so let's give us one last plug for your book. Is it available in stores that you know of, or where are you seeing this at?
It literally is now shipping from the publisher and from Amazon. So if you order it online, you'll get it very quickly. I'm getting it placed in a lot of tasting rooms around the state, and the bookstores will get it. But I can't tell you yet who has it or where. It'll be in the cookbook, wine book section of some of the bigger chains. But go to your local wine shop or wine tasting room, and if they don't have it, do me a favor and ask them to carry it.
Paul, I'll let you get back to your busy day. Hopefully you have some great wine to taste.
We always do, Josh. And I will also keep on my Facebook and Twitter and blog, when I have book signings, I'll be posting up notes about that.
Excellent.
And I'll see you up in Spokane here fairly soon.
Yeah, we're going to definitely get you over here to Spokane. You need to taste some of the newer wineries we have that have sprung up lately. So, excellent. Have a great afternoon and enjoy your weekend. Talk to you soon.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.